Firebrand Studios 801 presents self-awareness, healing, coping, breakthrough, taking back your God-given power. Slayer's Redemption Chronicles personified from bondage to breakthrough. Hosted by ℊ𝓤𝓤𝓤 and Tiff. Where we come to heal or die trying.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome back to episode 5 of Slayer's Redemption Podcast. It's me, your host, ℊ𝓤𝓤𝓤, and we have episode 5 with Unmute Your Mind. While my guest co-host Tiff is getting a little bit of rest and relaxation from family vacation and a heavy workload, I have your girl, Miss J, who is also a host of her own talk show podcast called Shaking Up the Algorithms. You guys have to tune in and check her out. So welcome.
Hello.
Hey.
It is so good to be on your platform.
Thank you for coming. I'm glad you accepted my invite.
Of course.
I'm glad you did. So today's topic is unmute your mind. And I normally have maybe some pointers, but kind of right now today's episode is gonna be kind of an open forum of how it relates to us with all the things that's going on in the world, across the country right now, from politics to women being killed in their own home, yet again by police officers. So I just really want to start. What made me pick the topic in conversation, how most of my topics come to be. They come in conversations, and then it's like a light bulb click on, boom, that's a good topic for the show. Right. So for me, when you think of the word muted, it's like subdued. It's like subdued or softened, right? So for me, I feel like to unmute my own mind is for me to block out the noise of ants, which is automatic negative thoughts. It's for me to block out the past issues, the failures, the projects that I may not have completed, things that didn't go right as far as just in my personal life with family, even parenting, as career-wise, school. So I feel like when I unmute my mind, it's taking my mind to a place of transit, so where I can unlock more potential. I'm blocking out the noise that's negative, that can keep me seemingly where I procrastinate, several self-defeating behaviors, where I get to just thinking about, especially just going through a Category 1 hurricane. It's the first time for us down here in Houston. We survived, girl. Did we not? We did that. And we made it here today. But in that time frame where we didn't have any power, food was scarce, resources were very limited, and close family it wasn't near. It made me, I had some thoughts that weren't all the way pleasant. It made me get to a place to where I know that this particular topic resonated with me more the closer I got to it. Yeah. Due to the effects of the storm, it had to be delayed a few times. You know what I mean? And so we're here today. And for me, I just had a lot of things to come up, in my idle time with nothing to do. I had a lot of feelings and emotions come up from the past that I had seemingly, got rid of, I believe. You know what I'm saying? And it just made me get to a place where it's time for me to unmute my mind so that I can go, so my mind can transmit and move, and my body and my soul can be aligned with it to lock in to my future. And my potential,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's true when they say that you learn something new every day. So even on this healing journey that we're both on, you may heal in certain areas, and then other things will happen to trigger. And it makes you realize that you still got some work to do, right? Yeah. So even for me, you know, during the hurricane and everything, it's not the first time I've experienced that, but it's the first time I've experienced it here. And
you've been through a hurricane before?
Oh yeah.
First rodeo for me. First rodeo.
I've been through one before. I've driven in the middle of a tornado before. Like I've been in it, right?
Okay.
But this was the first time I ever had to experience not having power. Ever. And
yeah. How long were you without power?
I was out from Monday 5 a.m. to Thursday 5 p.m.
And we were out from Monday 5 a.m. to Sunday around 1:30 p.m.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And I know just for me, you know, my thing was if it were just me personally, I mean, it would have been tough, but I would have been able to make it through. But when you have children or you have other people around you that you're responsible for, it adds another load of pressure. To you. Because now you're not just looking out for yourself, you got to make sure that these other people are taken care of.
Absolutely.
So during that time, it was like, okay, well, I know for me, you know, I know what to do to try to stay cool as best as possible. But my kids didn't understand that. Like they've never experienced anything like this. So to have to literally be still and not have devices or anything like that drove them insane. You know what I mean?
They're not alone. They are not alone.
It really drove them insane. I mean, even for me, you know, I come from that era where we didn't have cell phones and all that stuff. But because I am now used to that, and that's a part of my world, to not be able to reach out to somebody, that just drove me up a wall. You know what I mean? To not be able to reach any of my relatives, my daughter, my sister, anybody, to just let them know that I was okay. I had like certain windows during the day in order to do that. But mentally, it put me in a place where I felt helpless.
Man.
You know, because there was nothing I could do. I couldn't alter the situation. I couldn't change the situation. Even with having ice and, you know, things to try to keep cool.
Yeah.
It was almost still not enough. You know what I mean? So I found myself kind of like going somewhat into a secluded depression because of it. And I had the whole thing about it was I had to make sure that my kids didn't. So it was almost, once again, I had to suppress my own feelings to make sure everybody else was okay. And honestly, I really feel like that's why I'm sick now. You know what I mean?
Your body
it's all of that. It's my body trying to catch up to what trauma it has endured.
Yeah, it took me a little over a week to just like pull it back together mentally. Because like I said, I had the thoughts. It's like your life flashes before your eyes. Like I said, it was the first time for me. So like when I got up, because when I got up, the power had went out. So I got up. So we kind of sat around for maybe like an hour. And I'm like, well, okay, shoot, I'm still sleepy. So I'm going to go lay down. And by the time I wake up, like the power will be back on. This should have been passed over. Honey, and when I say I slept, so I slept from like 6:30 to like 11:45. Like I slept. And when I woke up, just say it was far from over. It was just the beginning.
Wow.
When I woke up to the news of fatalities. I looked out the window where I live with my homegirl, and her fence is down, her trampoline is blown, things are blown out of her yard. The trees are everywhere. I mean, yes, it went down. And then you get the news alert, like once the rain stopped, of course the winds went on for like maybe 4 or 5 hours more. And then you get the reports of fatalities, trees falling in people's houses, killing them, different things. And even as we went on in survival mode, you still found that people were dying even from generators, trying to keep their houses cool, trying to keep their food cold so their kids can eat. And it put me in a state of like survival to where I've never felt it before. Like I felt like my life, when it really sets in, you think to yourself like, damn, this could have been it for me. Like, so what is my life now? You know what I mean? Like, what if I left today? What would I leave my children? What would I leave my granddaughter? I only have one grandchild right now. What would I leave my granddaughter? Like, what legacy would I have left if I would have left on that day? And so it made me think more about my podcast and the episodes I have to come. And I really, really, really had a mental breakdown just on humanity alone, because you felt alienated. I did not hear from family. Like people who you would expect to hear from, I did not hear from. You know, of course I heard from my kids. You know what I'm saying? The ones who watch the news and stay alert on things first. It was like a day later, my son texted me like, "Mom, you were in a hurricane?" He was like, I'm like, yeah, Hurricane Burrow. You know what I mean? But it just really made me go into the depths of my mind. I found myself like just having crazy thoughts and just acting out of emotion. And just like it will bring you to thinking about all of your failures, you know what I mean? Or things that you didn't succeed on, or projects or things that you started and you may not have finished, like I said earlier. So for me, it's just that I noticed that when my mind is muted, that means I'm muted off from potential and progress and success and getting things done, even eating and drinking healthier on my weight loss journey. It stopped my healing journey because I started thinking of all kind of crazy things. I got mad at certain people all over again for things that should have been gone. Like I really got pissed off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It brings up all of that stuff. You know what I mean? It's so funny because my situation was a little more humorous, although it was somewhat depressing. And my daughter, my oldest daughter, she lives in Virginia. And I reached out to her, you know, just let her know I'm okay, stuff like that. And she said, "You know what, Mom?" She was like, "You weren't prepared."
Yeah.
Like,
we definitely weren't prepared.
I get that, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Look, Dorothy, you're not in Kansas anymore."
Okay.
And I was like, damn, you know, but it was funny, but at the same time, she's right. Because my thing was, yeah, I've experienced this before. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't as bad for me. I literally watched the rain. I watched the wind and the storms, right?
I threw it like I was Dorothy. Like
I sat there and watched it. You know what I mean? But my thing was, for me, I'm like, okay, in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, this is the beginning of the hurricane season.
Yeah.
And you already got a category 1. What you gonna do if it's more than that? How are you gonna be prepared the next time? You know what I mean? So it really put me in a mode like I need to get my life together. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
I need to make sure that no matter what the situation, we are as best prepared as possible. You know what I mean? So it made me start looking at charging stations and surge protectors and all kinds of shit, generators.
Yeah.
You know, my thing is, I live in a neighborhood, people had generators. Nobody came and said, "Hey, you and your kids okay? You need to put your foot." I don't live in that type of neighborhood. So it was like, it was just us. So I'm like, okay, if in the event, like I said, something like that happens again, I need to make sure that I have everything that I need. You know what I mean? And if I'm in a position to be able to help someone else, then hey, that's what I'm gonna do. Although it wasn't done for me, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't offered to me. I still want to make sure that I'm in a position where I can be of best help to somebody else. You know what I mean? If they don't have food or they lose food or something, if I'm in a position to give them food, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
If, you know, somebody lives close to me and they need to charge up their stuff, I want to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? But it was like this time, I was really at a complete loss. You know, thank God I did have candles. I forgot all about it. I had a box of candles packed up. You know, so I'm glad I had that to even suffice during those moments of darkness. But it was an eye-opening experience. I'm not gonna lie about that.
And when you have people,
life.
Yeah, me too. It really made me trip off humanity and like the role that I even play, just like you said, as a person myself, because it's just like for like 3 days straight, we definitely felt like abandoned. Like it was just me and my homegirl that I lived here in the house. The good thing that the girls were gone. You know what I'm saying? It just made us, and I had a meltdown. I was crying and pissed off, just like, this is crazy. But by the grace of God, we had a guardian angel, her neighbor. She came
Right.
through. She let us charge. She let us charge up our. She had a generator, so she let us charge our devices, keep cool, run errands with her to keep us out of the heat, just go different places. She even let us run a cord to be able to plug up a fan to sleep cool at nighttime. You know, but it really just put me in a mind of where do I want to, like, with my train of thought. It really had me check myself mentally, like, because there was all you could do. You lay down at nighttime and you just try to be still to keep as cool as you possibly can. You're left with your thoughts, and it's like, what are you going to do? Am I going to fold? Am I going to shrink? And it kind of put me in, like, what you call it, momentarily depression.
Yeah.
Like in the moment, I felt depressed as hell. Even coming up out of it, going through it for like straight 8 days, like it took me like a week to really just like mentally pull it back together. Like, I'm in transit, like with me resigning from my job, and then the whole organization closing down shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
So it's like I done made this big girl executive decision in my life while in the middle of me being in transition in my life. And so it just was playing out, just played out a whole different layout. I had to do some prayer and some meditating, some fasting. Of course, we did some fasting because food was scarce, but just naturally doing some fasting and praying and just really reflecting without any deflection.
Yeah.
Is where, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just brought me to a space of mental clarity. I deserve to for my mind to not be subdued with negative thoughts and trauma connected thoughts and things of the past. I deserve for my mind to be subdued with progression, with what I have already created and where I am now. Even sitting here today with my little old platform with my podcast, and I'm just getting started and I'm not stopping. So,
Right.
it just helped me to further dig into what I already had started digging into and like planting the seeds that I really want to blossom in my life. It really showed me some things. It hasn't quite scared me to leave Houston yet, but I'm here for now. But I just know we have to get prepared for those type of storms. You have to be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be
I
prepared.
feel the same way. I feel like honestly though, this is a pit stop. There's some things that I gotta get while I'm here.
Yeah.
Um,
Come
I
on.
don't, I don't necessarily, I don't necessarily feel like this is gonna be a long-term thing for me,
Okay.
Um, but probably for 5 years, and then after that, I'm gonna probably move somewhere else. Knowing me, I know me. My thing is, I have, and I think this is one of my traumas too, because and it makes me now understand why I've done the things that I've done. Like some people, even from my hometown, they're just like, "You moved to Texas? Like you was just in North Carolina. You just up and moved it."
Dang. Like you all over the place saying, like, girl, where are you at now?
Right. And they're like, "Oh my God, I'd be so afraid to just up and move." And I'm just like, but I think for me, it's almost like I feel like I don't necessarily have a home anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah, I have a hometown. This is where I was raised, or whatever, but I don't have a home there anymore. The home that we grew up in, that got sold. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't really have any roots anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy for me to just pick up and leave.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy for me to pick up and leave. The problem with that though is because I had kids, I don't want to constantly put that idea in their head or that mindset in their head that they have to just continually transition, because then they will never really be able to rest anywhere either. You know what I mean? So I have to be real mindful when I'm just making these abrupt decisions. You know what I mean? Because I'll make a decision real quick in my emotions and not care. You know what I'm saying? But because there are other people that I'm responsible for, I have to be more mindful of that. But honestly, I'm so glad you did this show because it opens up the door for people over 40, because I feel like now once you get over 40,
Yeah.
that's when everything from your past starts evading you. You know what I'm saying? All of the shit just comes out, right?
It comes on you heavy,
It
especially
is.
if you like for me, I had my kids young.
Mm-hmm.
I was a mother at the age of 17. I was a mother of 2 by the age of 19, and by the age of 21, I was a mother of 4.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things in life I didn't really get to experience in my 20s and my 30s because I was raising my kids. Now, like I explained to my kids last week, I said it's like I worry more about you guys now that you guys are not in the same under the same roof as me, now that you guys are young adults and seemingly being independent. It's like now I'm thinking about what the rest of my life is going to look like.
Right.
Like I don't have time to always be in flight or fight or fawn. Like I don't have time to live in those trauma responses in my world anymore. And so I have to not live in fear of my own success. See, I know that I am powerful, and I do have to understand that power. You know, we always say like I'm about to make a power move, but in reality, real power does move.
Correct.
Power moves, and so if my mind is constantly subdued at the chance of shit being thrown at me left or right, which that is going to be life. It's going to be thrown at you left, right, upside down, from the back, from the front, from the bottom of your feet, just uproot your whole world. I have to learn to trust my higher power and retrain my thoughts. So when I unmute my mind, I listen to my heart. So you always listen to your heart. It's always my mind that's got me in a fucked up situation because I let the things that I think play on my emotions, and then I let my emotions show in the way that I move. It's just because trauma responses have been coming up a lot for me lately. Even reflecting now, make sure I'm doing reflecting without any deflection because I'm not trying to. I'm tired of the people blaming people or situations that I can't do anything about that anymore. There's nothing that
the victim mentality.
I can't keep the victim mentality. Shit. I mean, God gives every day I wake up with breath in my body. That is another way to access power.
Yeah.
Access the power. So if I get out of my mind and I listen to my heart, which my heart wants great things, my heart unlocks the potential for me in my life. It's one of my greatest attributes. And so when my mind is subdued, I don't play off into that. I play into my mind. I play into the emotions, the thoughts that come into my damn mind, and it keeps me stuck. It keeps it sometimes they're perceived wrong. You know what I'm saying? They'll judge your actions when sometimes you can be bleeding over on people that you have intention on bleeding on because it's steady running through your mind.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that comes from constantly being in a position where you're in survival mode because everything that we've done up until this point has been based on emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, however we felt at that moment, we made a decision in that moment. You know what I mean? To either change it or correct it or whatever, right? So now that we're in this stage in our lives, it's almost like you've got to really reprogram everything that you've been doing.
Everything.
And that is not an easy feat. It can be done, but that is not an easy feat.
It's going to be done, but it's not easy.
Correct.
Healing, baby, when I'm in a moment and I'm having a mental breakdown to receive mental clarity, because sometimes you have to break it all the way down, I look in the mirror and don't even recognize myself.
Correct.
Because I'm caught in this transmission in my mind. It's like I'm caught in between two different worlds. You know what I'm saying? And I'm fighting to get the hell out of where I've been so I can go to where I'm destined to be.
Correct. Most definitely. I mean, it's a work in progress. You know what I mean? And although the healing process it's traumatic in its own sense. You know what I mean? Because now you have to put yourself in a position where you have to face those very things that you've been avoiding for so long. Now you have to face it. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So you have to, again, learn how to not just unmute, but you have to learn how to dissect everything that you've been through, and why you went through it, and then how to change it so that you don't continue to go through it
So
again.
that you don't, and then along with unmuting, you still have to learn when to put it back on mute to
Yeah.
block out things that no longer serve you. See, it's damn near like you're reversing it. You're reversing it. You're going to unmute your mind, get rid of all the negative shit, the negative thoughts, the past traumas, the hurt, the thoughts. You can think about situations from 20 years ago, and it'll flare up an emotion, and you have to let that go. It's just like you just said, when you unmute, you have to learn how to keep it there. And then while your mind is unmuted, you have to learn to, like you said, figure the shit out without going back into a subdued state of mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You really got to replace those thoughts.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part too sometimes. It's because you've always had this thought pattern. Yeah. And now you have to replace that negative with something positive. Yeah. You know, so again, it really it means that you really have to go about disciplining yourself to do things differently. You know, you had to come up with a schedule. I'm gonna be honest, I never had a schedule when I was young. In my 20s, 30s, I didn't go by no schedule. It was whatever went, that's how I went. Whatever moved, that's how I moved. You know what I mean? Yeah. Other than having a job, that's the only routine thing I had, right? Yeah. As far as my life, there was no routine. There wasn't really any structure. So now it's like I'm understanding even more so how vital that is. Yeah. Just, for me to be able to balance everything that I may encounter or all the transitions that I may have to go through. You know, it's a blessing, you know, to even see my oldest daughter who's 26, and it's like she got it. You know, she's like, Mom, I got to write down my budget. Or, Mom, I've got to do this, and I'm going to write it down. And I'm like, damn, why did I do that when I was her age? Like,
they can teach her.
It. You know what I'm saying? She tells me all the time, Mom, you know, I love you, but I don't want to repeat the stuff that you did when I was up. And I love her for that. I really do. That shows so much growth. But at the same time, it shows I ain't do that bad of a job. You know what I'm saying? At least
she caught something. Caught it.
She child should heed to what she saw. And was like, I don't want that for my life.
She caught the uphill battle, baby. She did.
She did. You know, and I'm thankful for that. I'm truly thankful for that. You know, but it really is. It's like, even with her, I have to tell her, look, whatever you dealing with, whatever trauma that I put you through, let's get into that.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that. Yeah. I said, because I don't want you carrying that stuff into your 30s.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to carry it into your 40s. And then you're going to have to deal with it. No, let's do it now.
Because I'm taking full accountability.
Correct. Let's do it now. You know.
I have the awareness, and I understand that the way that I thought surrounding the things that I have went through, and just my train of thinking that was tied into my esteem, and it was not the healthy thing. Lacking boundaries in my life. Being 41 years old, will be 42 years old next Thursday. It's big Leo season. Big Leo, not the little one. I understand. So, and my kids, and my children are getting older. My mother, by the grace of God, I still have my mother. She's getting older. Like, my parents are 68 and 70 years old. That has been tripping out since, like, I thought about so many things, like during this downtime of this literally dark period, like recovering from the storm. And that storm you can use in so many different ways metaphorically. Yeah. Because so many different elements to it. Yeah. It's not like once the storm comes through, then there's the aftermath.
Correct.
You have the aftermath. You know what I mean? And so in life, you have the aftermath. You keep, like, for me, I'm going to keep going. Like, it's like when you can't do anything, you want to do everything.
Correct.
In that moment, like you want to stay focused. You want to keep going. Whatever you finish, whatever you start, you want to finish. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Whatever you start, finish. You know. And it's just been a doozy. It's just like even to unmute your mind to try to lighten up things. What we got going on in politics with the election is crazy. What we continuously have women, Miss Sonia Massey, may she rest in paradise, who was just recently murdered in her home in her own town in Illinois by a cop. Like that can be a trigger, and that can send you into a space of like what's the point in not going out like a fucking renegade right now? Like, what would be the point in not just going haul out postal unhinged and just taking vengeance in your own hands? Like, because you can be successful and you can go through things in just like a blink of an eye with somebody with a muted mind, with a subdued mind, with a one-way thinking, one train of thought, the process in his mind. I don't know what the hell he was thinking in that moment when he did what he did, but it can trigger you to not want to be a humanitarian, damn it. Not want to give a damn about community.
Correct.
And all aspects of community, not just my ethnicity, all of humanity. You know what I'm saying? Because when you go through something like that, everybody suffers.
And that's true. I mean, it really.
I mean the hurricane.
Right.
The hurricane. Everybody suffers, but then when you then in the midst of it, the aftermath, you're coming back and you realize it's still crazy shit going on in the world. Right. Still bad things that you can't change, but you can be the change.
Correct. And that's really all that we can really do. Unfortunately, shit is gonna happen whether we create it or we don't. You know, and even with Sonia Massey, like I'm gonna be honest, I don't like watching the news anymore. Right?
Yeah.
It's just too much and I just don't like watching it, right? But that story flashed across my screen on my phone and I had to look it up, you know.
Yeah.
And it really took me to a place where, and I know this may sound crazy, but it took me to that place when NWA came out with that song, Fuck the Police, right? Because at this point, and that was damn near 20, 25, almost 30 years ago. That song came out.
Yeah.
For now to even be that to be our life at this point, it's like, who can you trust?
Who can you trust?
The police are supposed to help to
you calling the help to
our communities, and they're the ones coming in and destroying them. So it's like, what is your purpose? You know what I mean? What is your purpose? Because now you've got traumatized officers that are holding guns and they are using these or using that mindset to say, I feel threatened. Okay, that might be the case, but you're not threatened with any other person unless they are of our skin color. Now you got other nationalities and ethnicities and races and things of that nature that may impose even more of a threat.
Yeah.
But yet and still you do nothing in those situations. And here it is, you're in this woman's house.
Yeah.
You literally tell her that her pot of water is boiling over.
To turn it off, because we don't want to
turn it off. And for whatever reason, you feel triggered because she went to turn it off. Like, that doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even make sense. There was no trigger in that. That was just pure, how can I say, it's just pure evil. You know what I mean? And then for you to tell your officer with you, oh, well, don't worry about getting no help. She already dead.
It's a headshot.
Huh?
And then it's like, what? I don't even get the point where what triggered him. He was on the other side of the island. He wasn't even in the kitchen. She picked up
nowhere near. I mean, it was like she wasn't lunging towards him with this pot of water.
No.
It wasn't like she was being threatening to him in any way, shape, or form. That was his own personal trigger.
Yeah.
And you supposed to be, I mean, that's supposed to be overlooked. She didn't have no weapon, nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this
on her hands. She had oven mitts on her hands.
Exactly.
She had other mitts on her hands, and it takes your mind to a place where you like, because when you're dealing in business and you going into like the executive world, and you're trying to move through different levels and channels of life, you're going to come across people that are not the same ethnicity of you. Right. And you don't want to put everybody in a ball. You don't want to put everybody in the same box, to put the same jacket, be it man or woman, but it makes it hard. It makes you hard to unmute your mind and just continue to thrive, because then you have your children watching you, you have your family, and you don't want your children out in the community literally saying fuck the police. You don't want that.
Correct.
Because you cannot be with them, and you cannot watch them at all times. You cannot, even if they're caught up in a moment, you can't even guide them or orchestrate them in that second, because that's how fast things happen.
At this point, it's a death wish if you tell them to do it.
I'm trying to, it's like, how do we continuously as a race and as a people move past it? Yeah. How do you do it?
We can't. We really can't. You know, because it's almost like you're constantly in a state of trying to appease someone.
Yeah.
And then you get to the point where you just can't please everybody. You know what I mean? So what may work for one may not work for the next person. You know what I'm saying? What one may slide, the next person's not going to. So it's almost like you're still in a constant state of fear. And I mean, I just feel like a lot of times governmental officials don't really look or try to dissect the root of that fear when they are creating laws or they are creating structures that they expect citizens to abide by.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because as much as you don't want to keep bringing it up, but we're still dealing with traumas from slavery. Let's just keep it honest. You know what I'm saying? We're still dealing with those traumas.
400 years of it being passed down through generation and bloodline and trauma and family ripped apart, and people not even really knowing, like just for me in our ancestry tree. Now, on my grandfather's side of the family, we go back to, from his mother and father's side, we go back to Cherokee Indian tribe. We found his father's side, they go back to slavery, but we were able to find even his great-grandparents. On my grandmother's side, we can't find anybody past her parents.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the records were destroyed.
Anybody past her parents, we don't even know. And my grandmother's last name is Ward, which is my last name. It's my grandfather's last name. But her maiden name was Nichols. We can't find any Nichols past her grandparents. It literally led us back to a plantation owner, the name Nichols.
Oh, yeah.
So that name came from a slave.
Correct.
You get what I'm saying? And so it's just like when you think about those things and you think about the trajectory of your family, like how mental health was really, really strong on my grandmother's side of the family, to where it plays down to us. Like they want us to forget it, but yet we live with it every day.
Correct.
We live with it every day. And that's what I was just talking to a guy friend of mine earlier today, and I asked him, I was like you say things like, well, I'm not worried about like racism, like I don't give a fuck about it. But what do you do when it's head on? Like we see it, we know it's out there, but what do we do when it's toe to toe, shoulder to shoulder, eye to eye with you?
Right.
What are we going to do in that freaking moment? I feel like I'm going to lose my mind, because for them not to believe that is a mental health issue, racism, I don't like. It's crazy.
It is. It is.
It's crazy.
And you're right. A lot of people have now, can't think of the word at the moment, but it's almost like you've desensitized yourself. That's what it is. You've desensitized yourself.
You become immune to the shit.
Right.
Like they say to get you vaccinated.
Like you said,
you're giving you vaccines for it.
Correct. You become desensitized to it until you're actually faced with it. You know what I mean? And then it's like, then it's a problem. But my thing is, it's a problem all the way around. Why would you wait? You know what I mean? To have those things addressed, or why would you wait to voice your opinion when it's affecting someone else, for it to, now become more of a priority when it's you? You know what I'm saying? My thing is, whether it's Sonia Massey, whether it's anyone else that has been, taken out to, police or police corruption. My thing is, these were average, everyday people. You know what I mean?
Prior to them joining the force, and even when they go home and they sleep at night,
some of them are doing average, everyday things. What
Yeah.
makes a black person now? What makes you feel safe at any time? If somebody can come into your house and shoot you in your sleep, or somebody can shoot you down walking down the street,
jogging.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, where is the safety? There isn't any. You know what I mean? You're like a target at any time. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you play the step and fetch it role and yes sir, yes ma'am. That shit doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't matter, because when your card is up, your card is up. When you be in that token Negro, when that token has expired, your time is up.
Exactly.
Your time is up.
Exactly.
So it's just like, and girl, just take me to a place like, what's this shit all for? What's the purpose of trying to have a voice? Like here on the platform, I'm trying. My goal is to ultimately reach someone like myself, even if it's one person, to let them know that healing is a virtue, and you deserve it. You can do it. The work isn't easy, and we have a voice, and we're here to stay. I'm here to stay, and I'm going to heal because it looks good on me.
Correct.
And my skin color doesn't matter. My ethnicity, my background, where my grandma came from, where my mother came from, how I was raised. At this point, it's left up to me to figure out what I want to do. Failed friendships, failed relationships. I grew up. I've been called green on a numerous of times, girl, and I don't really consider myself as green, but I have been called green. I've been called very, very friendly. Because I believe one of my greatest gifts is that I am a people's person. You know what I mean? I actually love humans, but then on the flip side, they grind my gears. They can be a thorn in my side. You know what I mean? And that's when you have to go to God and say, okay, God, your children, get your children, children, okay? But my goal is to love unconditionally, joy and peace. You know what I'm saying? And harmony. And it puts me back into the mindset. I have to think about that. And I still, no matter what goes on, I have to remember what I want to instill in my children and what I want my community to look like. I don't want to just turn on a red eye and then seemingly hate every white person in the freaking world.
Right.
Because it can turn you to that. It can really turn you, because it's like they see it, they turn the blind eye. They may frown upon it, but they don't do anything about it.
I mean, it's a catch-22 with the whole race thing. You know what I'm saying? It really is. It's a catch-22 because a lot of times we can sit back and say, oh, well, you can't trust white people. You can't trust them because they're going just initially going to hurt us eventually, or they're going to sabotage us in some way.
And that's not always
always true.
No, it's not.
It is to the point now, and I'm gonna keep it honest. I'm a business owner, right? And a lot of times my focus is to support other Black businesses.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna be honest, I've been burned by my own people opposed to someone else from another race. You know what I'm saying? So then at the end of the day, I'm frowned upon because now I only want to put my money into other races outside
other ethnicities. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because my grandmother, she's 95, right? She still kicking and everything, right? But I remember when I was younger, it was almost like she grew up in that age of being a house cleaner. You know what I'm saying? Being a maid.
Talking about Big Mama, Madea?
You could say that. You could say Helen was like that, right? And she always used to say, yeah, well, I don't got time to deal with them Black people. I deal with the white people. Right. And I used to think that was so insane. How could you say something like that? Like, we're supposed to support our own. But it's like, now that I'm older and I'm experiencing things on my own, I'm not sitting here saying that I still don't have love or compassion for other Black businesses.
Absolutely.
I'm more reluctant now to
That's
even partake in
it.
or support of other Black businesses. If you burn me one time, I'm done with you. Like, I'm done.
And
time.
Even with our own people, when it goes back to you saying we have to desensitize ourselves. Even with the article, I read the article first before I seen the video. So the video just even more, it was so horrific to watch. Correct. And it even has us as a culture and as a people saying what she could have did different. And I don't feel like she did anything wrong.
She didn't.
They just saying, well, maybe she should have just turned the stove off and just left the pot on the stove instead of taking the water to the sink. Like, even that, like, they have us without that. They want our minds to be programmed to still live in fear of them.
Right.
Just the presence of them.
Right.
It's like he gloated. It was like he was gloating at her. She knew that his presence. She felt his aura.
Right.
She felt it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why she said, "I'm sorry."
And she rebuked him.
Or he shot her dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sorry for not even doing anything, though.
Nothing. There's no respect for life, whether they're police, whether they're just average people. Humanity has been lost.
Yes.
You know, it has been lost. And, you know, it's platforms like this. It's platforms, you know, like shaking up the algorithms. It's platforms like my brother Chris Henson in the audience.
I see him.
It's platforms that are going to awaken people so that they can be more empowered and they can be more knowledgeable about how to best protect themselves, how to best shield themselves, how to be able to, again, unmute and allow those feelings and those emotions to come out, because otherwise you are going to, you know, cause more trauma or, you know, issues to yourself.
You send out the wrong message. And then it's like, when you are talking to your kids, your Black children and your Black sons, it's like, what exactly do you tell them?
Correct.
Like, what at this point, like, what do you tell them? Because when they're seeing it, they're pissed off, they're irate. That makes them want to have no respect for law enforcement whatsoever. Even the nice cops.
That's true.
It's like, as long as they can keep us in this box to where we're not educated and we're not giving back to our community and we're not breaking cycles of poverty and niggerdom. Everybody knows we're and you know, we're not breaking chains of poverty and niggerdom. And you know, if you speak assertive or if you articulate your words, now you don't want your kids to think that they're talking white if they speak appropriate grammar. You know what I mean? And you do things outside of the box, like where I come from. Like, therapy is something that like what goes on behind closed doors stays behind closed doors.
Stays that way as well.
Psychiatrists, a therapist, or a counselor is doing white people shit, which is it's the dumbest shit that I've ever heard in my life.
It is.
Okay. So it's like,
that's why we suffer the most. That's why we suffer the most, because
that's why we suffer the most.
We don't unload that stuff. We continually hold on to it. Somewhere down the line, it was ingrained in us that you're supposed to keep that stuff, supposed to make you strong. Hell no, that's gonna break your ass down.
Break you down.
You gotta let that stuff go. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it becomes toxicity to your body. You know what I mean? You gotta unmute it. You have to unleash it. You have to release it.
You gotta release it.
You know what I mean? In order to actually have a balanced life.
Yeah, absolutely. And in order for you to thrive and shed off layers and layers of trauma and hurt and pain, how do you, if they can keep us in a box angry and not understanding and hating one another for being smart or fast or talented or creative, because that came with slavery, to hate one another.
Correct.
That came with it. If you were smart and knew how to read, you were a triple threat.
Correct.
You were a triple threat, even to your own. So when we hate on each other and we don't support each other and we tear each other down, that's what they can focus on.
True.
That's what they can focus on.
I mean, well, look at it like this. This tells you how far we've come.
Absolutely.
Because if you want to keep it real, in slavery, you would have been in the house and I would have been in the field.
And I would not have been in no house. They would have put they would have put my ass out the house. They would have put me out the house because I believe my spirit and my energy would not have allowed me to be someone's dog or pet or just, I don't know. I would have died. I would have made it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's a certain strength and resilience that I can honestly say I admire by our ancestors, because common day, half of us wouldn't have survived. Seriously. You know, so to actually, find yourself being subjected to those types of conditions and still be able to somewhat live or survive under that. That's unheard of to me. Like
I hate the theory of fucking colorism.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Because the way that my mind said, because I'm a big girl. I have apparent flaws about myself, but baby, I love me. And I'm going to walk it and I'm going to slug it and I'm going to come through and I'm going to be myself. And I feel like I would be the same way if I had melanated chocolate skin, baby. Like, all of humanity is beautiful to me.
It is.
So, and if I would have been in that era of life, I know I would have survived because I would have had to do what I had to do for my family.
Right.
And even for my fellow people, my fellow slaves, they're my people at the end of the day. But it's just like colorism, I don't know, they can miss me with the light-skinned, dark-skinned car. They can miss me because all light-skinned women are not that, boo. All dark-skinned women are not that. The color of the skin tone does not matter, baby. It doesn't. It doesn't. And then for me, being a light-skinned woman, baby, I like my meat chocolate. I like it dark. The darker the berry, baby, the sweeter the juice. Into the fair-skinned brothers, if that's what you want to call it. Your skin is fair, I guess so. So so it's like the further I go in this journey, the better it's going to get. Because I got some new things coming. I got 3 more episodes to wrap up in the first season of Slayer Redemption. It has been a journey. It's been a journey. And like normally before the show, I'd be kind of all over the place. Girl, I have butterflies. I'd be nervous. I try to find a way to I don't know, sometimes pull myself out the show. But today, I'm like, you know what, we could just regroup. It's okay for personal reasons. And you like, no, babe, the show must go on.
I'm gonna have my tea. I'm gonna pray that I don't have to wipe my nose too much.
Yeah.
I ain't gotta sneeze. But we doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Me, I'm like, when I'm doing my hair,
get it done.
Natural Hair Chronicles. I'm like, okay, so boom, I done thought of a quick hairstyle, baby. I got a bang. And then, yeah, boo. So it's like, I'm glad to be here. I wasn't as nervous today. I was like ready. I was really ready. And I feel like I'm ready for whatever at this point. Correct. Oh, goodness. Like finishing what I started, believing in myself. Understanding that I am powerful beyond measure. You know what I mean? Because it's just like my biggest fear is not that I'm inadequate. And that's a true statement. It's not because for me to think that I'm inadequate, that's asinine. For someone else to even think that I'm incapable or incompetent is a fucking insult.
Exactly.
So who am I to diminish myself? Who am I not to believe that I am powerful and that I am great and that I am worthy of change?
Right.
In spite of what's going on all across the world and around me, and even in my own community. You know?
Right. Right.
So unmuting my mind is something that is very imperative and vital as I move along in this journey to become someone, to leave a legacy, to become someone that I am proud of. I've noticed with myself, if I don't do the things that I promise myself, it makes me build up a hatred towards myself. And then I find ways and reasons of bullshit and excuses to not do what I set my mind to.
Right.
You know?
I mean, I kind of go through that as well. I don't necessarily have a hatred to myself, but it's almost like I start feeling guilty.
Hatred to my behavior.
I feel guilty that I didn't do this or I didn't do this in that amount of time.
And does that make you not like yourself? Do you like yourself in that moment?
It makes me
Or you just self-love?
It makes me not appreciate the gifts and abilities that I know I have.
Makes me same difference.
I don't want to necessarily say I don't like myself, but I just feel like, damn, you just fucked up again. You know what I mean? And
so in reality, when you take yourself outside of yourself,
correct.
Do you like a person in your life that's a bullshitter?
No, I don't.
Not.
I
So for me, it's like when I bullshit myself, I don't like that version of me. I don't like that lower self. Like my heart, I love me. Like I want to live like I'm not ready to go with God yet. I'm not. Because I still feel like I have things to do on this earth. So when I look at my life, like I hate a bullshitter, I hate a liar, I hate a procrastinator. And then when I realize that I'm bullshitting myself and I'm lying to myself. And now I'm procrastinating. I'm done with missing windows of opportunity because I want to procrastinate, or I want to live in fear, or my mind is subdued with negative thoughts and things like that. So when I thought of the topic of unmute your mind, it just like lit up a light bulb in my head. Like I'm unmuting my mind to potential, to healthy affirmations, to positive thinking, to creativity, to work hard for what I believe in. And I'm muting the bullshit. Like with the ants just running through my head, just running through my head, just running through my head. And then I get to tap into like the things that are keeping me stuck. Why am I procrastinating? Is it because I'm just sitting here in a thought? Half the time when you're procrastinating something you're doing, you're literally not doing anything. You're literally paralyzed in the thought of what I'm supposed to be doing and trying to figure out why the hell your feet aren't moving, or your lips aren't moving, or your hand is not moving to write that book, to create the perfect outline for a podcast, to finish that degree, to go for that job that you want, to start the business.
For sure.
You know?
I mean, and we were talking about this earlier, and that brings up something too I want to add. You know, at the end of the day, our goal is to be better than we were yesterday, right? Yeah. So it requires us now putting forth the action, you know what I mean, to make those things happen. And you're right. Sometimes, you know, life is going to throw different challenges your way. And it is going to throw you off sometimes. Yeah, you might get depressed. Yeah, you might have moments of procrastination. You may have moments of self-sabotage. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I know for me at this point, I am really honing in to what triggers those things. You know what I'm saying? That's what I have to do in order to help me heal, so that I don't continue to do them. Because again, situations are gonna arise. You know, I can't resort to the same, as you said earlier, flight or fight mode. You know what I'm saying?
Fight or fawn.
Correct. I have
hybrid fawn. Like it's so many different spectrums of it. It's insane.
Correct. And I was afforded the opportunity to be a part of the Comeback Champions Summit. And
you did switch. Your spiel was awesome. I watched it.
Thank you. Thank you. For those of you who haven't watched it, It is still going on throughout the remainder of the week. You can just go to my Facebook page at Sharon Jones, and you can see the link for comebackchampions.com. And you can go ahead and select, whichever one you want to go into to look at some of the speakers and things of that nature. But I was watching a speaker today. His name is James McClendon III. African-American man. He's a neuropsychologist, right? And he was given some...
So he studies the brain and things.
Correct.
Yes, Lord. Okay.
He was really giving out some major gems. And the title of his speech was How to Become a Multi-Millionaire Megapreneur, right? So, most of us that have ventured out into some sort of entrepreneurship, we have these aspirations of being millionaires or being wealthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, we don't necessarily understand the steps that needs to be taken in order to get to that level. Because here we are, even right now, we're discussing the fact that we're dealing and trying to process traumas. Those traumas will hinder us from reaching those or attaining those goals if we don't correct them now, right? And some of the things that he was saying, like even for me, I have noticed over the years, I've always said, oh my God, I'm just overwhelmed. I got to do this. I got to do. In my mind, I'm thinking about everything that I have to do. And it could be things on my list. And, to be quite honest, none of that shit gets done. Because it's almost like I wear myself out mentally. Thinking about it.
With your mind subdued with the negativity and just thinking, living in fear of it.
Correct.
Living in fear of your own power and success has become crazy to me for myself.
Correct. And it made me realize it brings about a lot of things where, people talk about imposter syndrome and all of that stuff. I find that even with myself, you know what I mean? But he said something again that to me was so profound. It hit me in a certain way, right? And he was saying that people that are overwhelmed or just the emotion of being overwhelmed is because you have too many emotionally charged tasks or duties in your mind at one time that now it stifles you from doing anything. And I can honestly say that's how I've lived for a majority of my life. I've constantly been overwhelmed. Constantly had all of these things that I've had to do. And I'll be honest, a lot of it doesn't get done. Now, does it mean that I'm not productive or that I don't want to be productive or that I'm just a straight bullshitter? No.
I
want to do these things, but it's almost like there's a mental disconnect.
Yeah.
As to why I can't get these things done. Or I start thinking about those thoughts of what I believed. And I had that in my book as well, y'all. If y'all haven't seen it, this is a copy, but it's God, Why Me? How I Survive Life's Trials with Grace, Music, and Life-Changing Affirmations.
Yes.
You can find it on Amazon, or you can just go to my page. But even in my book, I talked about how there were certain things that were told to me as a child and as a young adult that I believed. And it's like, even now at my older age, I have to reprogram myself not to even believe that to be true anymore. Because it wasn't true. Those were someone else's fears and someone else's baggage projected on me.
Yeah.
Because they didn't think they could do it. So they didn't want me to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
So it's like now we're at that stage in our lives where we have got to learn how to find, and as I said earlier, dissect where these thoughts are coming from and replace them with something positive so that we can, as Dr. King said, get to the mountaintop. Because I'm trying to get to the mountaintop.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to get there. You know? Yeah. And I'm not going to rest until
I there
to my kids.
And for me, and stay there.
Correct.
I want to store there like never before.
Correct.
You know, I want to go to the mountaintop just like the eagle. I want to fight through life like the eagle does the crow.
Correct.
The eagle doesn't focus on the crow pecking at his neck. The eagle just flies higher and higher. Correct. And higher. The higher the eagle flies, the crow loses oxygen, and the crow just will fall off.
Same thing with the snakes, girl.
Yes, girl. Even
the
higher you go,
they don't have the oxygen to sustain.
And even if you ever study an eagle, which is going to be one of my first tattoos I get, because the life of an eagle is amazing. Like the transition that they go through for 40 days, literally 40 days where they shed all their feathers, their beak falls off. They get a new, like they literally go do like a mutant type of transformation. And it's painful and it's grudgy and it's lonely and it's dark. But once they get through that transition, they come back better than ever. Yeah. Like they never left. Yeah. So that's who we are. We're warriors. We're eagles that are going to soar. We're here. We are phoenixes that are rising from the ashes, sweetheart.
Correct.
Yes. Today was a good show. It was. Yes. Got another one down in the books. I'm happy. I'm so glad that you joined me.
Of course. I'm and honored to be on your platform.
Yes.
Please invite me again because I would love to come. You know.
And you got to bring me on Shaking Up the Algorithms one time too, girl.
I can do that as well, madam.
Yes, ma'am. So to all of my slayers out there, thank you for joining me and my special guest co-host, Miss J, tonight, as we kind of had an open forum on episodes 5, Unmute Your Mind. I would like to thank you, and I want my co-host Tiffany. No, we missed her tonight on this episode. We'll see you when you get back next time on episode 6, which is titled "Take Your Own Advice." That's going to be a good show too. Okay. So be on the lookout for updates on my YouTube channel, on my Firebrand Studios page, 801. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Until next time, you guys, I love you. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Slayers Redemption, Chronicles personified, from bondage to breakthrough. Special thanks to this week's sponsors. Find us on our social media page